You needed this win, and you fought Indiana Fever down to the wire. You made the big plays, and hey, you got the win. 92 Indiana, 89 Mercury, and boy, what a finish it was.
A three-point game with the clock bleeding out, and Indiana walks away with a 92-89 win over Phoenix. That's the headline. What actually got them there is a different story, and it is not the one the score alone would suggest.
I just ended the live stream of the Indiana Fever taking on the Phoenix Mercury in Phoenix, and obviously, come on, dubs in the chat. Yes, indeed. What a game. I'm not even gonna be...
That kind of chat energy right after the final buzzer usually means the ending looked nothing like the opening. This one did not disappoint on that front.
It was good. Every win feels good, but come on. We know the history between the Indiana Fever and the Phoenix Mercury. We understand that. We know that we lost the game last night. This is the second of a back-to-back. We lost the game we should have won against the Sparks.
Context matters here. This was the second night of a back-to-back for Indiana, and the first one did not go their way. They had already dropped a game they should have won against the Sparks less than a day earlier. So this was not a fresh roster walking into Phoenix rested and ready. It was a tired team, on the road, against a Mercury squad they have had a genuinely competitive history with all season. Win this one clean, and Indiana closes the book on Phoenix for the year. Lose it, and the back-to-back excuse writes itself for both sides of the argument. And this rivalry stays unsettled going into the rest of the schedule. In a league where 2 or 3 regular season head-to-heads can end up deciding a tiebreaker for seeding later in the year, a season sweep is not just a bragging rights line, it is a real asset. Stick with me here, because the stat that actually explains this win does not show up until deep in the team totals. And it is not the one most people would guess.
Few things, but before I do, I gotta have put on the coach's hat or bandana at least, and say games like these really should teach you something. It's a full game. You have to be engaged the full game. Whether you're down 10, whether you're up 12, I think 12 was the largest lead Fever had, 10 was the largest lead that the Mercury had. You can score in bunches, especially if you're the Fever. You have to defend. You have to not quit. You have to be resilient. You have to stay in it. You have to believe.
That is not just a pep talk. It is a real coaching principle, and it matters here specifically because of what happens in the second quarter of this game, which we are about to get into. A 12-point lead can turn into a 10-point deficit inside a single quarter in this league, and the teams that survive that swing are not always the ones with the most talent on paper. They are the ones that treat a bad 6 minutes as a problem to solve possession by possession instead of a reason to panic. Keep that in mind, because Indiana is about to test that exact idea in real time, on the road, on tired legs.
Let's go to ESPN for the box score, ESPN.com. So here we see it. First quarter, Indiana scored 28 points, Phoenix 24. Then we got to the second quarter where we tend to struggle, and it was only 19 points for Indiana and Phoenix 29 points. Then in the third quarter, Indiana started out slowly, really slowly, but then picked it up, ended up with 22 in that quarter and held Phoenix to 15 only, the lowest in the game.
Indiana came out and did exactly what the rested team is supposed to do to the tired one, except backwards. They took the first quarter 28-24, clean and in control. Then the second quarter happened and Phoenix outscored them 29-19. A 10-point swing in a single quarter on the road, on a back-to-back. That is the kind of stretch that has ended a lot of Indiana's games this season. And if you have watched them all year, you already know which version of this team was about to show up. The one that lets a lead evaporate and never gets it back. Except this time, it did not happen. Indiana started the third quarter slowly, actually slower than the second, and then something changed. They closed the quarter on a run, finished it 22-15, and held Phoenix to their lowest scoring quarter of the night. That is not luck. That is a specific answer to a specific problem, and it is the first real sign this game was going to be decided by who could stop the bleeding, not who could score the most.
And then the fourth quarter, boy, it was a battle between these two teams. Indiana won that battle 23 to Phoenix 21, and thus we have the victory. Going to the play.
The fourth quarter turned into a possession-by-possession fight, and Indiana won it 23-21. Not a blowout close, not a garbage time close, the kind of close where every single defensive stop actually decides something. When a quarter comes down like that, it usually means 2 or 3 players decided they were not losing this game individually before the team figured out how to win it collectively. So let's look at who actually did that, because the box score tells you a lot more than just who scored the ball.
Look at our starters. Mo had 2 points, but AB with 21 points on 9 of 16 shooting, 3 for 5 from 3, 9 rebounds. She had a steal, she had a block. Let me make this a little bit smaller so everything fits in.
Start with the two-way name on the stat sheet. 21 points on 9 of 16 shooting, 3 triples, 9 rebounds, a steal, and a block from the starting post player. That is the kind of line that does not trend the next morning, but shows up on the winning side of the score every single time. Part of what makes it hold up is who she was guarding on the other end. Phoenix's front court is not a finesse group, and a 9-rebound, 1-block, 1-steal night against a team that likes to bully you inside is a different kind of accomplishment than the same line would be against a team that does not. And here is the part that should get asked more often than it does. This team put together a full quarter of dominant basketball, followed by a quarter where the wheels came off, followed by a response in the same game again. That pattern is not new this season. It has shown up in wins, and it has shown up in losses, and the honest read is that Indiana still has not proven it can avoid the letdown quarter altogether. They have proven they can survive it. Those are not the same thing, and eventually, against a team better than tonight's Mercury squad, surviving it will not be enough.
Then we got Kelsey Mitchell, another 29. That's what she had the last game, last night. And then the game before that, she had 27 on 10 of 22 shooting, 3 of 6 from the field, 6 of 6 from the free throw line, 2 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 steals, a block, and she put this team on her back down the stretch.
Then there is Kelsey Mitchell, and this is where that chat energy from the opening actually starts to make sense. 29 points on a night the team needed exactly that, and it comes one game after she put up 27 points on 10 of 22 shooting, with 8 assists, 3 steals, and a block in the loss to the Sparks. Back-to-back nights, back-to-back big performances, one in a loss and one in a win, and that is actually the more convincing version of a scoring stretch. She did not just show up when the team was rolling, she showed up when they were down, too. This is exactly the kind of two-game run that starts circulating online and turns into a bigger conversation about where she belongs in this league's guard conversation this year. Whether that talk is premature is a separate question, but the box score does not care about premature. It only cares what happened, and what happened is she put this team on her back in the fourth quarter of a one-possession road game on a back-to-back. And this was not the kind of matchup either side could afford to shrug off as a late-season exhibition, which is exactly what makes a scoring stretch like this mean something instead of padding a box score in a game that did not matter either way.
Lexi Hall. Wow, Lexi is doing her thing. She had 10 points. She ended up deferring to other players because coach stuck with what was getting it done down the stretch. Smart decision there, but Lexi was super helpful on the floor with 10 points in 18 minutes, 4 of 6.
10 points on 4 of 6 shooting, 2 of 3 from 3 in 18 minutes, and almost none of it came in the fourth quarter, because the coaching staff made a deliberate choice to stay with whichever 5 players were producing in that specific stretch rather than rotating by habit. That is a subtle thing to notice in a box score, but it is exactly the kind of in-game adjustment that either wins you a 3-point road game or costs you one. Sit a player who is playing well because the rotation chart says so, and you are coaching on autopilot. Stick with what is working, even if it means a starter plays fewer fourth-quarter minutes than usual, and you are coaching to the game actually in front of you, instead of the plan you walked in with. Indiana did the second one tonight, and it is a decision that will never show up on a highlight reel. But it is exactly the kind of decision that separates teams capable of closing one-possession road games from teams that only look good when they are comfortable.
And then we go to the bench. KK didn't score, but she had 5 rebounds and an assist and a block. And when I say she had a block, she had a block. Before morning, of course, some of you are on the East Coast, it's already morning. Right now, it's 11:51 Central Time, which makes it 12:51 Eastern Time. So it's already the morning. There might already be a video out there of that monster block, big time block at a big time. Basically pin that sucker to the backboard.
And then there is the play that was probably already circulating online before most people even watched this game. She comes off the bench, does not score a single point the entire night, and still ends up one of the more important names in this box score because of one possession. A chase-down block sent straight into the backboard. 5 rebounds, an assist, and that block, and none of it looks especially impressive on a stat line until you actually see the moment happen. This is the piece of the game the highlight channels grab first, and it is also the piece that tells you something the scoring totals do not. Indiana finished with 4 blocks to Phoenix's 1, 8 steals to Phoenix's 4. That is not just hustle. For long stretches of this game, Indiana was genuinely the better defense on the floor, even while giving up 49% shooting to the other side. Both things were true at once, and that tension is exactly why this game came down to the final possession instead of getting decided in the third quarter.
And then Sophie gave us 9 points. The shooting percentage wasn't good, but she played big. 4-4 from the free throw line, and 2 of them were at the end of the game, and we needed both of them. And she just stepped up big. And before that, she ended up on the floor because she was barreled into by Kalia Copper, and that was a foul, and we were in the bonus, and then we just sealed the deal right there. Big time, Sophie. 9 points, also 2 rebounds and 2 assists. And
now go to the free throw line, because this is where road wins in one-possession games actually get decided, and it is the least glamorous part of this entire box score. Sophie Cunningham finished with 9 points on a night her shooting percentage from the field was not good, and she would tell you that herself. But she went 4 for 4 from the free throw line, and 2 of those 4 came in the final minutes, right after she got knocked to the floor on a hard foul that put Indiana into the bonus. Both of those free throws mattered, not in the abstract, feel-good way announcers usually mean that, mattered, as in, take either one away, and this is a different final score. She is not alone either. As a team, Indiana shot 10 for 10 from the line. Phoenix shot 8 for 10. In a game decided by 3 points, that 2-point gap at the free throw line is, by itself, more than the entire margin of victory. It is easy to watch a game like this and talk about the flashy possessions, the block, the scoring runs, the highlight reel triples, and completely miss that the actual mathematical difference between winning and losing lived in the most boring stat on the page. Nobody clips a made free throw. But this is genuinely where the game got won.
We only gave up 9 points off turnovers. They gave us 25 points off of turnovers, so we made them pay for their mistakes. We got 9 fast break.
Which brings us to the number I told you to wait for, because this one actually explains the whole game more than the free throws, more than the block, more than Kelsey Mitchell's fourth quarter. Both teams turned the ball over 12 times. Identical number. Same number of mistakes, same number of live ball turnovers, same number of chances handed to the other side. Here is where it splits. Indiana turned those 12 Phoenix turnovers into 9 points. Phoenix turned Indiana's 12 turnovers into 25 points. 16 extra points, off the exact same number of mistakes, purely because of what each team did in the 3 seconds right after forcing the turnover. That is not talent, and it is not shooting luck. That is discipline and execution in transition, and it is the single biggest swing in this entire game. Indiana was down by double digits at one stretch, They gave up 42 points in the paint to their own 32. They shot a lower percentage from 3, and they still won by 3, because when Phoenix handed them the ball back, Indiana made them pay for it. And when Indiana handed the ball back, Phoenix mostly could not. That is the real answer to how a team that got outscored in the paint, out-rebounded on the offensive glass, and out-assisted by 5 still walks out of Phoenix with a win. It was not the box score. It was what each team did in the handful of seconds after the ball changed hands. And tonight, that belonged to Indiana. This is the kind of stat that predicts more about a team's playoff ceiling than any single scoring line does, because talent shows up in the highlights and discipline shows up here, in the numbers nobody clips. It is also the kind of habit that tends to separate a team in the second half of a season from the same team in the first half of one, because transition discipline is built over months of practice reps, not stumbled into by accident in a single box score.
On CeCe obviously sat out of this game. She was on a minutes restriction last game. She's there on the bench, just totally into it. If they're on the court, they're cheering each other on and pumping each other up. If they're on the bench, they're cheering each other on, and they just support one another. And that's what it's all about. One team. You lose as a team, you win as a team.
Zoom out for a second, because this win closes something out. Indiana and Phoenix split the season series before tonight, 1 game apiece. And with this result, Indiana takes the year series outright. That matters more in a league this competitive than it might sound like it should, especially with playoff seeding still being decided game by game. As for who was not even on the floor for it, the team's star point guard sat this one out entirely, still working under a minutes restriction that has been in place for several games now. Instead of treating that as a footnote, watch what the team actually did with her on the bench. She stayed fully locked in, cheering every defensive stop, and by every account from the players themselves, the energy from that bench does not change based on whether the best player on the roster is in uniform or in street clothes. That is either a genuinely healthy locker room, or it is the kind of thing every team says regardless of what is actually happening behind the scenes. The difference here is you can watch it happen in real time on the bench during a 3-point road win, which is a much harder thing to fake than a post-game quote. It also means the minutes restriction question is not going away anytime soon, and it is fair to ask how sustainable that arrangement stays once the schedule tightens and every remaining game starts to matter as much as playoff seeding says it should.
But as I said after the loss, the last game, last night, to, of course, the Sparks, I said, ultimately, it's about the win. And we got the win. We got the win. And it's on to Sunday, God willing, against the Aces. Let's go.
So here is where that leaves Indiana. A back-to-back split, a season series win over Phoenix, a bench that held together without its best player on the floor, and a stat sheet that says the real separator was not shooting or scoring. It was what both teams did with the other team's mistakes. This is exactly the kind of game that gets forgotten by the time the playoffs actually start, right up until a tiebreaker makes everyone remember it again. Next up is Sunday against the Aces, a considerably tougher measuring stick than tonight's Mercury team. And it will answer the question this game only partly did. Is that second quarter collapse a fixable habit? Or is it just who this team is under pressure? Tell me which one you think it is in the comments below. If you want the next breakdown the moment it happens, subscribe, drop a like, and I will see you back here for the Aces.